Yeah, man, it's the one only DJ Chase, the pregame party miss podcast right here on WDJCDB, DJ Chase Radio, the DJ Chase Radio mobile app, man, on Apple iPhones, Android, the Audible app, Apple Podcast, Spotify Podcast, the YouTube DJ Chase TV. But enough of all that, man. We got the super talented Big Bronx's own, my God, a trumpet player, the artiste, the DJ, the actor, the dancer, my guy, Sean Taylor, Taylor Gang. I'm a Taylor, he's a Taylor. Sean Taylor in the building. What's going on, brother?
What's going on, DJ Chase? Thanks for having me on the platform. It's definitely a blessing. And yeah, looking forward to getting into it and chopping it up with you and just having a heart-to-heart as two fellow Taylors, you know what I mean?
For sure, man. So, a lot of times, like I said, a lot of artists, people don't know their background. They just think like, okay, they just know who they are. But I want people to kind of get into your back. I wanted people to kind of know about your background. I want to get into your background a little bit. So, first and foremost, how are you feeling today?
Me, I feel great. I spent time with my grandparents today, spent time with my daughter. I got a chance to go to the gym and work out. Summertime is like the optimal time to just stay right, stay active. And now I'm here for this wonderful interview. And look, I had a great day, so I feel blessed.
Good. Blessings to that. So, I'm gonna get into it, man. Your background. So, you were born in the Bronx, or you are born in Jamaica?
So, I was born in the Bronx, Uptown, Wakefield.
Yeah.
It used to be called Our Lady of Mercy Hospital. It's now called Montefiore. But yeah, I always say I'm from Uptown Bronx by way of Jamaica because although my pops, he's from the Bronx, his side of the family is American with roots from the South Carolina. I was raised on my mother's side of the family. And I'm the first generation that was born here. Everybody on that side was born and raised in Jamaica.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm tapped in like for real.
Yeah. You tapped into Jamaica real hardcore?
Oh, you mean, you know how the thing go.
I would
love to say like I got the best of both worlds.
Got you. So, I want to ask this because like I was born in the Bronx, but I was raised in Harlem. So I'm more Harlem. How was growing up in the Bronx for you? Like, because everybody's experience in the Bronx is different. How was it growing up in the Bronx for you?
Well, for me, I would say I think it's important to break down the differences between the areas of the Bronx, right? You got the North Bronx, which we affectionately call it Uptown Bronx, and then you got the South Bronx, which most people know the Bronx for.
Yeah.
And then you have that midline that separates the North from the South Bronx, which is East Tremont Avenue. East Tremont is like a long street that just runs all through the middle of the Bronx. But growing up in North Bronx, Uptown Bronx is a completely different culture than the South Bronx. The South Bronx is heavy, Latin America, a lot of Hispanics. Hispanics are all over. Salute to the whole Hispanic and Latin, but when you cross over into Uptown, you in like little Jamaica. You in little Jamaica.
Of course.
Or just call it like the little Caribbean, because although the majority that live up here is, Jamaicans, but you got those who are from Trinidad, those who are from Haiti, those who are from, Antigua, some from Guyana,
Yeah. So I wanted to ask this, right? So you were raised by both your parents or just your mom?
So interesting enough, I was raised, like I said, so look, we getting right into the story. Like, we're gonna talk. Yeah, man. So look, my parents, I love them to death. My mom and dad, they grew up during the 80s, like when the 80s was rough. And if you know anything about the 80s and drugs and the crack cocaine epidemic, although they were working, they were on that thing, you know what I'm saying? And thankfully I had, my maternal grandparents, to step in, and they said, hey, look, y'all got to get y'all act together, but we're going to make sure that Sean is good.
Yeah.
And so my grandparents, although they technically are my grandparents, they are affectionately I call them mommy and daddy because they, but my pops and my pops and my moms, they were always around in some facet, but the mainstay, the nucleus, Roy and Daphne Taylor.
Some more Taylors.
More Taylors, word up.
For sure. Now I want to ask this, right? Because you are also a trumpet player, but we're gonna get into that in a second. Now, growing up with your grandparents, were your family, besides your uncle, which we were gonna get into, did that spark the musical journey for you, or they just was like working class people?
What do you mean as far as like being in the industry or pursuing a career in the industry?
Pursuing. Like, did they like pursue music too, or did they have like any music like background?
So here's an interesting thing, right? So my grandparents, my maternal grandparents, let me be clear, they both could dance their behinds off when they were so that was embedded, in me. My paternal grandfather, he could sing. And as well as my, paternal grandmother as well, both growing up in church on both sides of the family.
Okay.
So, growing up in the church and, how important, the musical aspect there is in praise and worship and so forth. So that runs deep DNA. But what I want to say is getting more closer in the line of bloodline. So my mom, she could dance her behind off, but she can't sing to save her life. My pops, he could sing his behind off. But dancing ain't really his forte. So it's like they came together, they made me, and I got the best of both worlds. Like I get busy with the vocals, I get busy with the dancing. So growing up in a household where there was always music playing. There was, whether it was reggae, it was ska, it was rock steady. If it was, R&B, blues, jazz, Black American music, it was always playing in the household growing up. So the main, I guess you would say, the main influence of, other than just being around that hub of always having music playing, is rest in peace to my mother's brother, my uncle, the late great DJ Shining Star.
Yes, sir.
And Roy Taylor Jr. He, man, even to this day, I still feel his loss. But even though he's not physically here with me, I know that he's always here, and ever so often I do feel his presence, and so he, as far as inspiration and to pursue a career in music, he was the one that was like, yo, nephew, you got some talents on your hand, man. Like, don't let it go to waste. Like, if you don't do something with it, you're gonna be a miserable old man early. So,
he was probably right about that one.
So that's really it. Being grown up in that hub, and then having, my uncle as a musical mentor, or just a mentor in life, to just say, yo, you should really do something. I don't know what you're gonna do. I don't know if it's gonna be a songwriter. I don't know if you're gonna pursue acting. I don't know if you want to go for full-fledged with being an artist, but you have what it takes. And he definitely poured that into me in the best way I would say that he knew how.
For sure. Salute to that. And I want to ask this, right? Because your trumpet playing has taken you to plenty of heights. How did you start playing a trumpet, of all things?
Well, I was 10 years old. I was in 5th grade. And I was watching, it was the summer interim between 5th and 6th grade. And I was watching a PBS special, Channel 13, where they were honoring, the legend, the man right there.
Mr. Miles?
Louis Satchmo Armstrong.
Yeah,
Satchmo, man. And I just saw I believe he was playing the West End Blues or the Potato Head Blues or whatever, but I remember vividly being fixated on that TV screen in awe. It was just like, to just see the way how he captivated the audience, especially during a time where, you know, racism was super prevalent, during that time where there was such a huge divide in the class system, you know, upper class, middle class, lower class, whatever. And for this man to be a black man, the first black male superstar at that.
Yeah.
Singing and then playing the trumpet masterfully. In that moment, I knew. I was like, that's what I wanted to do.
That's what's up.
I know how I was going to do it, but I said, I got to do that right there. And then just a few months later, after, you know, summer break is over, now 6th grade, I'm at John Philip Sousa middle school. And if you know anything about John Philip Sousa, you know, John Philip Sousa, he's known for writing a bunch of musical compositions, you know, band music. So I like to say it was written, like it was meant for me to go to that school. When I went to the school, 6th grade, salute to my 6th grade band teacher, Mr. Paul Pidio.
Yeah.
He himself was a trumpeter, and he gave pretty much the freedom of choice for all of the students to say what instrument they want to play. And I was, you know, one of the first in line to just say, look, I want that instrument, and that was the trumpet.
Yeah.
Like, you sure you want to?
Yeah, you know, I got to go to Louis Armstrong House in Queens. Have you gone yet? You got the chance to go out there yet?
Absolutely. I couldn't call myself a trumpeter, and I never visited there.
Yeah.
And I went there, man, and when I went there, I got chills, man.
Yeah.
It's goosebumps just to be in the presence, you know, of where this legend resided, right in the heart of the community. He never left his people. And just to circle back, like in that moment of when I told Mr. Peter I wanted to play the trumpet, he's like, you sure? That's like a demanding instrument. I said, that's what I want. And I remember he gave me, it was a 1962 kind of rusty trumpet, and he had I believe it was a 7C Vincent Bach trumpet mouthpiece, and he kind of like sprayed it down, sanitized it, whatever. Gave it to me. I put the mouthpiece in, and I'll never forget it. The first time I put it right there against my lips, and it was like this big fat sound, and then everybody in the around the room was like, you know what I mean? And
yeah,
from that day, I never put down the trumpet.
That's what's up. So, being that you learned from the trumpet since 6th grade, right? A lot of people, they don't take music too seriously, and they don't. You know what I mean by that? Like they'll do it, but won't stick with it as far as going further with it, right? So when did the transit? So let me ask you this question: did your parents, in meaning your grandparents, did they support your passion to be a professional trumpet player? Did they want you to go further with it?
I would say that they always encouraged me to continue to practice. It wasn't like, oh, well, you should become a professional trumpeter. It was just something that I was just very passionate about. And that's one thing I could definitely say, that for the most part, anything that I was passionate about, my grandparents, they supported me in that. Oh, you want to do acting? All right, cool. Let's see if we can put you in a great acting program.
That's what's up.
You want to play ball? Let's find like the best basketball programs that are either local or, whether it be, an AAU situation or even an after school gym situation. They always, they were supportive in that way. So yeah, it wasn't a thing of, oh, you should become a professional trumpeter. But when I first started, my sound wasn't the best, as with
it takes practice.
Yeah, it takes practice. The neighbors used to be like, oh, like, come on, I didn't have any soundproof walls, anything like that. So I invested early in getting a mute, I got the harmony mute just to make it a little softer.
Yeah.
And over time, I think like within like 2 to 3 years, like I'd gotten like crazy good. Like from the transition from 6th grade to 8th grade, it was just like apples and oranges because I had literally played, if not every day.
You got that time in.
Yeah, I put that time in, bro. And I guess they really saw like, yo, you have something here. And so I would play in church.
Yeah.
And then I would play for like, weddings, baby showers. And I'm doing this like 14 years old.
Yeah.
So.
You put that work in.
Yeah, I kept working. So they poured into me in that way. For sure.
That's what's up. And I want to ask this, right? So we're going to speed up a little bit in a sense, like your acting, because you got your acting resume is crazy. And something I didn't know when I met you that you was on Broadway. So when you got on Broadway, like with a play called Carolina Change, which is dope. How was that experience? And also, it's a 2-part question. So how was that experience? And what made you want to break into acting from being a trumpet player?
Well, so here's the thing. Singing, dancing, acting, composing, a lot of those things I was doing all at the same time.
Yeah.
So even though like I'm a dancer first, anybody like my grandmother, I had to be from one. Some people say, they would say I've been dancing out the womb, So I was always dancing, but just to fast forward, dancing, then 6th grade, like picking up the trumpet, and even all while I was playing the trumpet, I was still singing in church, and I was part of an after-school program called CAPAS. That's called the Creative and Performing Arts Studio.
Yeah.
And the CEO of that company, Lola Louie, she is someone who ingrained a passion for the arts, burning passion of not just the arts, but having knowledge of self, having a respect for your elders and the ancestors, just having this deep, this Africanness, if you, and so I know you asked me a 2-part question, like as far as being, Broadway and, going from the trumpet into acting. I was always doing both acting and trumpeting and singing as well, and dancing, all at CAPAS, at the Creative and Performing.
Gotcha. Okay, that's the answer I was looking for, because it was like, because I'm reading, I'm like, all right, why is he acting from being a trumpet player? That's a weird spot to be in a sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was and if I could word it properly or in the best way, I would say it was, in essence, I was groomed to be an all-around entertainer. Performer.
Yep, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
And it wasn't like, okay, you're going to this school to be this. It just so happened how the cards were just was just proper alignment. You know, I'm a natural dancer. Naturally, I'm not fearful to be on stage. It could be 10 people or 10,000 people.
Yeah.
So dancing, acting, singing, playing the trumpet, playing piano, learning how to read and compose, all these things were happening simultaneously, whether it be whether I'm at Sousa during the day or at CAPAS after school, or when I went to high school and I started at LaGuardia High School. During the day, I started off as a vocal major my freshman year. Yeah. And I switched over into instrumental. But that whole time I was still after school going to Creative and Performing Arts Studio. So during the day, I'm getting my academics, I'm getting my vocals, I'm getting my honing my skills on trumpet and composing. But then after school, I'm playing ball. I'm still going on acting auditions. I'm still learning monologues and learning how to dissect characters and learning inflections of the voice and how to tap into various characters. So
let me ask you this question now. This is going to be a sum up in a sense. Like, so do you feel like, okay, acting actually helps your music career?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So for certain, I would say, well, it's been a while. I could be transparent and say I haven't been going on auditions like because I mean, look, look, I'm a teacher, you know, I'm a music teacher during the day. You know, by the time I'm finished, you know, it's after 4 o'clock. Most auditions are between 3 and 5.
Yeah.
And they're held
as a full-time job. Yeah, it's another full-time job. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's held in the city. There's no time for me to really go hands-on to these actual auditions like I used to when I was, you know, growing up. Unless, you know, I just, you know, submit my own stuff on the side, you know, and try and get, you know, what's the word I want to use? Like extras. Like if I got booked to be an extra in a film or a TV situation. But for those main roles, you have to act. You have to
do that a lot.
Yeah, you gotta go. So to answer your question, definitely having skills in acting helps in being an artist, I would say, because whenever you write songs or whenever you perform songs, they're not always based on personal experiences.
Yeah.
You can tap into a character. I could be like, okay, cool. I don't know. Like, shoot, I got a record out right now called Joe Grine. Like,
yeah, I'm gonna talk about that.
Feel me? Like, I used to live that savage life. I don't anymore, but I can tap into that character.
Got you. That's what I wanted to ask. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm able to tap in, or if I need to, if it's a song where I need to be very emotional, I don't necessarily have to be feeling that way in my life, but I know how to tap into that character because I learned the skills of how to study a script and tap into the character. Okay, what is the character that I'm portraying? Now let me live through that character, and let my voice, let the inflections in my voice, my emotions, let that evoke whatever the character that is.
Got you. So I want to ask this question, right? Because a lot of times, you know, because even myself, I'm very transparent. A podcaster, radio host, DJ, producer, you know what I'm saying, engineer. You know, so what's your favorite? What would you say? You know, you keep it real simple. What would you say you like better? You like the music side better? You like the acting side better?
Ooh, well, I wouldn't say it's better. It's tough to say what I like better.
Yeah.
Because, you know, well, what if the acting popped off before the music? Well, I'll be doing the acting, but I'll still be doing music. You know, if the music pop off before the acting, I'm still gonna be. I would still love to pursue acting.
Yeah.
Music, but I have definitely been more heavily involved in the music scene.
Yeah.
So, I would say my knowledge of the music and the ever-changing music industry is definitely like top tier.
Yeah.
You know? I tap in every now and then with, you know, different agents and agencies and see when they're casting calls and stuff like that. But I haven't been studying my monologues. You know, so.
But you know, like I said, it's because, you know, sometimes, especially like a lot of people who listen to my show, my radio show, my podcast, a lot of times people hit that crossroads, you know, and they like, okay, do I do this or do I do this? And that's why I kind of wanted to pick your brain a little bit because, you know, once again, sometimes people be so confused in a sense. So they like, you know, should I keep doing music? Okay, I'm not getting to where I'm at. I'm not on, as they say, in music yet. So, you know, like I said, you played trumpet for Little Kim. You played for a lot of different people, and you work with a lot of different artists. And I also wanted to ask you this question too, like, you know, being the type of artist a trained musician, excuse me, do you find it easier to create music on your own as far as like school taught, or do you feel like more like your own composition is easy, if that makes any sense? So like, because I know traditional like musicianship is way different than how we produce. So do you find it easier to produce your own music like that?
No, that is a great question. I'll be honest in saying that it took me some time to get the musicianship thing out of my brain.
Yeah.
Let me explain what I mean.
Let's get it.
When you understand the music industry, there's an art to creating what they would consider hit records. Right?
It is.
Or like
I got a few of them.
Yeah, like there's certain elements that you need to have. You know, some would say, oh, you know, You gotta have a, verse, chorus. You gotta have a bridge, and then bring it back into the chorus, and then whatever the case may be, you have an intro, outro, all these things, right? And so for me, when I first started as a musician, I'm thinking, okay, well, I need this F minor chord to transition into the G, the G augmented chord, and it's just like, yo, the average listener is not thinking like that.
They don't.
I'm not, or if I'm thinking like, yo, I want to start off in the key of C, then I want to modulate into C sharp, then I want to modulate again into D, they're not thinking like that.
They don't.
And so in answering your question, I've come to learn that what helps me is that I know scales, I know different the different types of scales, like major scales, the different types of minors, the melodic minors, the harmonic minors, the mixolydian scales, and all that stuff. But in knowing that, I still know that there's a science to records nowadays. People don't want to overthink.
There you go.
The mass majority, there's a science to it, and the science that I found, the happy place is, how can I make a song that's musical, feels good, and people don't have to overthink? Like, as soon as they hear it, the beat, head bop, how do I have it something that's catchy? But if you were to like dissect it, you'd be like, yo, you hear those chords in the background?
Yeah.
Like, hey, did he just, were those harmonies? You hear those layers? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so who knows music or who can appreciate those things, they'll be like, nah, he get busy. Like, he really can. But the average listener will still be like, yo, that joint fire. I don't know why it's fire, but it's
because the biggest records that I've ever produced, they all got about 8 instruments, if that. Probably 6, maybe 6 instruments at most. I think one of my biggest records, I think the drums had more instruments than the whole song. The drums was the most layered piece of music. Everything else, it was just a piano and like a little synthesizer. The biggest record I ever produced was the 6 instruments. Yep.
And you probably didn't have to overthink it.
Nope.
You probably didn't have to overthink it. I've come to realize that, look, there's different types of music, there's dance music, there's mood music, there's party music, like, and when you're in the club or you're in a festival or you're in a lounge, like, people just want to feel good, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Listen, salute to hip hop, with it being the 50th anniversary of hip hop, and the music that we grew up on, that we love, like, you don't get it on the first listen. Like, you gotta hear it, go back and then really listen to it, be like, yo, did you catch that double entendre, that triple entendre? Like, yo, I didn't catch that the first listen. Because that's the art of storytelling, the beauty of it.
Yep.
Right? Yo, I didn't catch it on the first listen. Let me go back and listen again, and so I have playback value.
Yep.
Now, record is like, they would call it, those who are back rappers, or they call it now the underground scene, is like, there's still a cult following for those who love lyricism and where you got to break down stuff. But mass majority, bro, people just want to feel good.
Yep.
Does it feel good? Does it sound good?
Yep.
Is it catchy? The end.
And that's what happened with me. Like, one of my if it cuts off, we're gonna sign back in, right? But so one of my music, the guy who taught me engineering, my mentor, I'm sitting there, I was the same way, right? Because I started as an engineer first. I was always a DJ, but as far as the production side, I was an engineer first before I was a producer. And he was like, listen, I'm gonna tell you a little secret. If it sounds good, keep it. Don't worry about over the decibels and or the dBs and all. He said, don't worry about none of that. As long as it's not clipping and it sounds good, you're straight. He said, don't worry about it. If it sounds good, you're all right. And that's the best one of the best piece of advice I ever got.
That's great advice. And then also to your advantage as a DJ, you know what the people want to hear.
Exactly.
So to go from the DJ angle and then go into engineering, now you're getting into the science of sound.
Yep.
And now you're understanding levels and EQs and things like that, which you need to know already as a DJ. but now you're understanding it on the creative side in creating the sounds.
Yep.
It's one thing to just mix and blend the sounds, that's already done, but now to create it and have that understanding of EQs and levels and the
because I see, I'm very sure, like even like with you when you went to school, I'm very sure they said the original thing was don't mix in the cans, meaning headphones. Don't mix in the headphones. I'm like, listen, I'm mixing in headphones, bro. Like I used to tell my teacher all the time, like, listen, I'm mixing in my headphones. I don't care what you say. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of things have changed. And I also wanted to ask this too, right? Because the records you have, like Pull Up with H.E. Locks and Joe Grine, and records is hitting, you know, they are sample based. So did you do that on purpose or no?
So now that's a great question. Now, everybody goes, look, respect the musician. You see what I'm about.
Yeah.
Right? I was heavy on, and I'm answering your question while also talking about how Respect the Musician ties into it.
Got it.
Respect the Musician originally started off because I noticed that musicians were not getting their just due. It's like, look, you play keys. I need you to play keys on this track for me. Yo, you play trumpet. Yo, just need
And for those who those who are listening, that's called work for hire. That's when you don't want to play it yourself. You get to work for hire.
Yeah, there you
that's
go.
The work for hire. That's what that's called. Yeah.
Yeah, bro. Yo, just play for me. I'm just like, if you really want to get into it, I mean, some may argue it or not, but that's part of production.
Yep.
If you take those elements out, the record is not the same.
Yep.
You know, so that's that, right? And so, respect the musicians for those who truly love music. You don't necessarily have to be a musician, a vocalist, an MC, a DJ, but if you know that you love music and it's impactful in your life, and you know that music has helped you get through good, the bad, and the ugly, and then in between, that's what Respect the Musician is about. And because of that knowledge, you have a respect for the music art form.
Yeah.
Right? And so, with it being the 50th anniversary of hip hop, you know, hip hop is sample heavy. Now, when I first started, I was on some big time, you know, Prince approach, like, yo, I ain't sampling nothing. Like, everything I do, I create from scratch. You know,
I'm still a little like that too. I'm like that too.
And look, it's in me. Like, I got a whole bunch of original stuff that when you listen to, you're like, oh wow, like that's really different. And like, of course, there's inspiration around us. Everybody's inspired by someone or something, but it wasn't like, okay, let me take that, and let me put that. No, it was never that for me.
Yeah.
But I said, you know what? I see how the music industry is evolving and how things are changing. How can I still be true to me? How can I still be authentic and apply that authenticity to where the music industry is now? You know, records are not 4, 5, 6, 7 minutes long anymore.
Nah. Don't even do that.
Records, you got 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes tops.
Yeah.
Maybe 3.5 minutes, and that's like
that's pushing it. Yeah.
And that's even pushing it. But and then so I see like, okay, there's something about nostalgia that people love. You know, whether you're sampling directly where it's blatant and people can hear it and go, oh, I know that song. Or maybe it's an interpolation where somebody's listening to it and they're like, yo, this feels familiar, but I can't put my finger on it. That's where I'm at right now. You know, that doesn't mean that I never stopped creating, you know, musical stuff like from but I'm not gonna fight where it's at. You know, I could still bring me to where things are. You know, there's an expression that says evolve or evaporate.
That's true. Very true. Very true.
So I see it as an opportunity for me to reinvent myself in certain elements while still staying true to me at the core. You still get top tier vocals, you still get harmonies, you still hear the trumpet in there. You know, it's a signature, you know, it's me. But it's like now it's more so, oh snap, I didn't expect for him. Did he really flip that mystical? And then, with an Afro beat? I would never thought that.
Yeah.
And then you have a collaboration with somebody else who's from Uptown as well. You got Pull Up. People are like, yo, I don't know, I like it, but like, what genre is it? It's like hip hop, it's Afrobeat, it's dancehall, it's like R&B-ish melodies. It's like, I don't know what to call it. That's why I say it's just a vibe.
Yeah, so we back, man. My guy Sean Taylor, and and I wanted to ask you this question, man. So you've done so much in your career, and I do want to ask, man. Do you one of my few last questions before we get out of here is, do you like the studio better or you like the stage better? Which one you like?
Wow. I love performing.
Yeah.
I love performing. I mean, because as much as I do love being in the studio, there's the art of recording, from the process of beat making and then songwriting and putting it all together to have this overall production, and then just being super what's the word, surgical vocally, get things tight with the doubles and the harmonies. I love all of that stuff, but there's something about performing live that it's irreplaceable. It's just something about performing live on stage. You get to bear you see, when you record, you're bearing your soul, and that recording lives forever. So that's timeless. That's very important, which I love that. But when you perform, every time it's like a first time.
Yeah.
And you can recreate that every time you perform.
Yep.
When you record a record, it's very difficult, in my opinion. Yeah. Especially when you're locked in, to recreate a moment that was captured in the studio. Even the best of the best, they're like, man, like that session, there was something about that session that was magical. We had all the right, musicians in the room, all the ideas were flowing. But when you perform, there's something about performing that I love, connecting with the crowd, getting that. And I always bring high energy. And so it's bearing the ability and the blessing to bear my soul on stage and bring the things that I grew up on, as we spoke about earlier.
The
singing, the dancing, the trumpeting, to bring all of those things into one performance. It's who I am.
So that's a very, very, very professional answer. And I do want to ask this, man. So Sean Taylor is all these things: an actor, a trumpet player, a musician, a singer, a producer. What would you say now in 2023, your next life, going on to the next half of life, and in that sense of the word, what's next for Sean Taylor? There's going to be full-time artist. Of course, you're here, but you're going to just say, you know what, I'm going to just thug it out and do it. Because I feel like sometimes, and the reason I'm asking the long-winded question is because it's like, you've done so much. So you go like this. Do you feel like, okay, I'm going to just stay straight with the music and the records as opposed to going like this, up and down?
No, I appreciate the question, because, and interesting enough, I was just having this conversation with one of my friends the other day, and it's like, how do you know, or how do you have the discernment to know when it's time to move on to something else, or when do you stick something out?
Yeah, exactly.
And the dilemma when you are good or great at many things, like, well, all right, this ain't working out. You know what? I'm gonna just go into this other thing because I know I get busy with that. And if that don't work, I'll get busy with another thing. But for me, at this point, there is a shift that I feel in the atmosphere, and that I know is happening, musically speaking.
And I'm gonna give you this credit. This is to your credit as well. Before you go finish this answer, is that you're super freaking talented, bro. So it's like, I want to know in my mind, like, where is this going? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're super talented. Like, I do music with a lot of people, and you're probably one of the most talented people I know.
Man, to God be the glory, bro. I really appreciate that. And Yeah, there's a shift in the atmosphere, and I know that with Pull Up, with Joe Grine, and with the other records that are unreleased that are in a similar vibe and vein of Pull Up and Joe Grine.
Yeah.
I know that things are just gonna continue to go like this.
Yeah.
And so that's where I am right now. I'm heavy in artist mode.
Good.
You know, that don't mean that, hey, if somebody hit me up and like, yo, you know, I want for you to pen a record for me, whatever the case may be, or if you want some trumpet on a record, or oh yo, I got a live show, definitely would love to have you on stage. I still get busy and do all of that, but branding wise, I want people to understand this, and for everybody who's watching this, let this be clear. I am an artist.
Yeah.
I say respect the musician, because it's all about having integrity for the art form of music and the universal language of music. But I want when they say Sean Taylor, I don't want them to say, oh, that's that trumpet guy.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was gonna say, because even me, I go through it. You know what I'm saying? And I like somebody who understands, somebody who's super talented. A lot of times we like, I want to engineer. No, I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do this. And sometimes you have to have laser focus to one thing.
You gotta have, and to Tyler Perry's credit, he mentioned something a while back, and he said that I'm kind of butchering his words, so don't quote me. But what he pretty much said in a nutshell was that there comes a point in time that you have to narrow your focus on one thing and just lock in on that. That doesn't mean that you have to neglect other talents or other endeavors, or that they don't exist. Is that you got to have that one thing where you just narrow in on and really get busy with that. And once you break through with that can open the door for that. You know, I think of like a Jamie Foxx, right? Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of people didn't know when he first started that he got busy like
on the singing and the piano. He crazy,
he's classically trained pianist. Like he's sick.
Yeah,
like
he's
sick with it on the keys. And vocally, he's sick too.
Yes, he is.
But he wasn't getting through. He wasn't getting through that ceiling. But because of his ability to be humorous and his ability to act and tap into character, he honed in on that.
Yeah.
He didn't neglect music, but he focused on the acting, and the acting made room for all his other gifts. Even on the Jamie Foxx show, he would sprinkle in scenes where he would be singing and playing, and people would be like, "Oh, you know."
Yeah.
I know I gave you a very in-depth answer, but
no. That's what I'm here for. Like, because once again, it's a lot of artists and a lot of people that I like. Because once again, I could have anybody on my show. I'm very picky of who I want on my show. So it's not even about the money. It's not about none of that for me. It's about who I want on my show. So, you know, you giving those type of answers is great, because it inspires people who really, really, really listen to the show, and they like, yo, I'm at a crossroads, or I'm doing this, or something like that. And then, you know, one of my last questions before we get out of here is, you know, what advice do you have for anyone getting into the music business? You know, it could be anything. Like, what advice? Say somebody comes up right now and be like, yo, Sean Taylor, do you have any advice for me getting into the music business? What would it be?
The advice I would say is be ready to put in the work without getting paid.
Yeah, word.
if you think
word.
Like you have to, this is very much so, you can't cheat the grind.
Nope.
It knows how many hours that you've put in. It knows how many hours that you've invested. It speaks loudly. So if there's any advice that I would give, is that you gotta be able to put in the work. Don't think that you're gonna come in for a year, 2 years, and yo, if I don't pop, it's over. Like just do music as a hobby.
Yeah, it takes it takes a very long time.
It takes, like the expression goes, it takes 10 years to become a overnight success.
Yep. And you damn sure to get paid for it, it takes probably 20 years to get paid for it.
But hey, look, yeah, pay for it. But look, I asked this question.
Yeah.
If it took you 10 years, 15, 20 years to become a millionaire. Would you do it?
Yeah, of course, sure would. Yeah, so, that's a good, yeah.
Whether you got your first milli in 1 year or you got it in 20 or 25 years, the point is that you won.
Yep.
The fact, in all reality, that's another thing that I would say. I would say, yes, be goal driven. It's important to have short-term goals. It's important to have long-term goals. It's important to analyze, the analytics, of your social media interactions and knowing where your fan bases are, so that way you can know the metrics of where to do shows and all that stuff. Yeah, all that stuff matters. But what is top tier? Gotta just put in the work, yo.
Yeah, and my guy,
just put in the work and just stay true to who you are. Stay true. Those who are meant to feel you musically, they'll feel it, and you'll find your tribe. And so I like to say, in summation, that like I'm grateful for, like I said, my uncle Roy, DJ Shining Star, rest in peace, for pouring into me. I'm thankful for, like I said, my parents. During the 80s, they were on that thing, but thankfully they were able to get off.
Yeah.
And through that adversity, I was blessed to have my grandparents who said, look, we're going to raise you. You're going to be all right. They took care of me. They took care of my brother, Jaja Town. And because of all of those experiences and overcoming the adversity, all those things played a part in me being who I am. So to any new artist, everything that I said is all facts. And like I said, stay true, stay authentic, and let your experiences and your pain, let that be the inspiration behind your pen. Let your pain, let your happiness, let your joy, let your sadness, let that authentically be the inspiration behind your creation, and you'll be all right.
You know what it is, man. My guy, Sean Taylor, we are out of here, man. Thank you so much, man. Like I said, my deepest apologies. I had to do some promo for the radio station at another station. And
hey, look, it's all good. It's just the vibe.
You know what it is. Joe Grine out there.
Joe Grine out right now. Make sure you go download that, stream that.
Yeah. Well, that's already on the radio. That's already in rotation. So I just loaded it up today. So
it's lit.
It's already in rotation. Yeah, it's in rotation. So I'm about to do some more hard promo. This interview is gonna go viral. So people gonna love this. It's gonna go crazy on Facebook. So I definitely know this interview is gonna go crazy on Facebook and the reels and stuff. So yeah. Man. So Sean Taylor, where can they find you on social media? Because your social media is a little different than how it sounds. So what's your social media?
For sure. And I appreciate that. So, ladies and gentlemen, everybody tuning in, is yours truly, the one and only Sean Taylor, but it's spelled a unique way.
Yeah.
That's SXNTYLR. That's again SXNTYLR. On the socials, show love. The website, SeanTaylor.com, SXNTYLR.com. And on the IG, on the TikTok, on the Facebook, just simply at Sean Taylor, at SXNTYLR. And that's the same for YouTube as well.
You know what it is, my guy, Sean Taylor, Taylor Gang. I'm Charles Taylor. He's Sean Taylor. You know what it is, man. Joe Grine on all streaming platforms right now. That pull up with my guy, HG Locks. You know what it is, man. It's DJ Chase, the pregame party miss podcast, right here on WDJC DB. That's my station, DJ Chase Radio. The app on our iPhones, Android phones, DJChaseRadio.com. Get that merch, that Audible app, Spotify podcast, Apple podcast, and YouTube DJ Chase TV. Yeah.